Welcome to 5 times 5D. I'm your host and guide, Will Caminada, and I'm here to help you awaken, heal, and expand your consciousness. In the next 5 weeks and episodes, we'll be exploring in depth some of the key aspects of 5D consciousness, and most importantly, how to apply this awareness into our day-to-day 3D life and our connection with our fellow humans. I want this program to be a transformative and practical experience for you. Oftentimes, it's easy for the mind to rationalize concepts, but the mind needs rewiring of habits and conditioning. That's why I suggest that you take the time every week for the next 5 weeks to watch these videos and then do your meditation practice as well as the practices suggested in the worksheets. As we evolve and expand our consciousness, the mind helps us remember what our spirit already knows. But the physical 3D body needs to catch up. Hence, we must integrate the learning with the meditations, the daily tasks, the journal prompts, or any other spiritual practice that you may already have. In this process of expansion from 3D to 5D consciousness, we inevitably have to let go of the old self, old beliefs, old conditioning, and what no longer resonates with the vibration and the version that you are becoming. That's one of the reasons why I also highly recommend that you come to the breathwork sessions or use any other healing modality that resonates with you. When it comes to your awakening and healing and expansion, it's crucial to be gentle with yourself, have self-compassion and self-love. But it's also important to remind yourself that you are very brave for taking the steps further in the expansion of your consciousness, and that this is also going to impact the collective. Your individual healing is contributing to the healing and expansion of the collective, whether you can rationalize this or not. So remember, we all have different paths, pace, and experiences, but we are all in this together. And through our private group on Facebook, we will be able to connect more deeply with each other and share our experiences in this journey. The main objective for this intro video is to lay the foundation for the rest of the course and clarify some of the key subjects that will show up in the program. So let's start with the basics. What is dimension? What is consciousness? And what is a dimension of consciousness? The D in 5D stands for dimension. When we're talking about dimension, we are referring to space. We live in the third dimension, so if there's a 3D, there must be a 1D, a 2D, and possibly a 4D and a 5D, and perhaps more. The Pleiadians, who are higher dimensional beings and the gatekeepers of the fifth dimension, and which you will hear me talking a lot about, they talk about 26 dimensions in all. Dimensions are also related to density, which is connected to gravity and matter. For example, the first dimension of planet Earth is the iron core crystal in the center of the planet. It is the only dimension that is completely solid because it is the densest. The first dimension of all planets is actually gravity. So the higher we go in dimensions, the less density, the less gravity, and the less matter. In this third dimension, we are actually in a dimension where the physical and non-physical intersect. And according to quantum physics, we are actually more space than matter. Hence, our ability to access different dimensions of consciousness. So now we add the consciousness factor. The Pleiadians say that we as human beings right now in this physical plane and form have the capacity to access 9 dimensions of consciousness. Note that they don't say the dimensions themselves, meaning the space, but they are saying the level of consciousness in each dimension. And just before I move on, let's try to find some definition for what consciousness is. For me personally, I like to think of consciousness as the seed of all there is. You can think of the creator with a capital C, the universe itself, God, or whatever resonates with you. We all share this one consciousness. So when you see it from that perspective, everything in the universe is consciousness experiencing itself and actually evolving itself through all the different manifestations existing in all of the galaxies, including Earth and us. So in that sense, a rock is consciousness too, having an experience of a rock, but it has a different level of consciousness to us. It has a 2D level of consciousness because it has been created from the lower realms, lower to us, and it doesn't have the capacity, if you will, to choose whether or not it wants to expand its consciousness. Unlike us, we do have this capacity and the ability to choose. Moreover, we are the gatekeepers of 3D. This doesn't make us necessarily better than the rock, but it does mean that consciousness is able to evolve faster through us and that we are able to become self-aware. We'll get into the non-duality aspect in the first video, but when I say level, I'm only actually referring to it being lower or higher and not better or worse, as all the experiences consciousness is having are valid and divine, and they all lead to one pathway, the evolution of consciousness. So to sum this up, dimension is related to space. Consciousness is the seed of all there is. Each dimension has a level of consciousness. 3D is the realm of linear space and time. In 3D, we perceive some dimensions as lower, like 1D and 2D, and higher, like 4D, 5D, and beyond. And according to the Pleiadians, we have the capacity to access 9 dimensions of consciousness. A lot of information about the 9 dimensions of consciousness is taken from a book that I study and teach called The Alchemy of 9 Dimensions of Consciousness by Barbara Hand Clow, who channeled all this information from the Pleiadians. So just a quick disclaimer here to say that all that I share is my interpretation of it, along with my personal experiences and views, and also my connection with my spirit guides, who gave me the name of the Gardens of Love. And part of my team is actually the Pleiadians. The 5D is the realm of love and oneness, so no wonder they gave me this name. So we'll be working with their energy in this program, especially in the meditations and the breathwork healing sessions. And it's fair to say here, though, that I personally believe that we are all connected to them. We just have to open our hearts and live from love. That's where they are, and that's where 5D is in us. We'll talk more about the heart center in video number 4. In this program, we'll focus on the shift from 3D to 5D. The Mayans, who were very much connected with the Pleiadians and guided by them, have created calendars that not only helped them navigate their 3D life then, but had divine intelligence around the concept of time. There are 3 main Mayan calendars. The 260-day calendar called Token, which is actually the gatekeeper of the 9th dimension, hence the connection with the Pleiadians. The 365-day calendar called Hab, which is the solar calendar and has similar count as our Gregorian calendar. And the long count calendar, which has the 2012 end date. This end date wasn't a cataclysm as some feared. It basically meant the beginning of a new era where Earth's consciousness would shift and the portals to higher dimensions of consciousness would become more available. This age is to be a time of harmony, peace, abundance, enhanced human abilities, evolution of consciousness, a healed earth, integration of the dualities of male, female, left, and right brains. These are words of grandfather Don Alejandro, aka Wandering Wolf, 13th generation Maya Kish. This time has also been prophesied about by the Toltec, Ra from the Law of One, and several others. And in modern times, some spiritual masters have also talked about this, such as Eckhart Tolle, Dolores Cannon, and Barbara Hand Clow herself. Another way to look at this shift is to think of Mother Earth as one being that is now shifting into a higher state of consciousness, the 5D, through her heart chakra, which is directly connected to 5D. Then think of ourselves as the cells of Mother Earth. We're individually working on ourselves for the evolution of the collective. Mother Earth, as the master of this organism we're part of, is sending us signals and providing us with the right energy to shift along with her. That's why we have seen more and more this global awakening, which I personally hope and believe will just keep growing. And I assume that is why you're here right now watching or listening to this. You understand that when you look within, when you awaken, heal, and expand as an individual, you are contributing to the awakening, healing, and the expansion of the collective. See how powerful we are? The 5D is so important because it's really the portal to higher states of consciousness. It is the unity consciousness of love and oneness. And it's pretty much the opposite of what we experience in our limited dualistic 3D level of consciousness. In the next videos, we will dive into the 5 key aspects of 5D living: non-duality, presence in nonlinear time, surrender, trust and abundance, neutrality and heart center, love and oneness. Next, we'll explore one of the main differences between 3D and 5D consciousness, non-duality. What is non-duality? What is the difference between polarity and duality? How can we live in non-duality while still living in a dualistic 3D world? Thank you for being on this journey with me. As always, keep shining your light, keep your heart open, and let love lead the way. I love you. See you in the next episode.